old you are?
My name's Amanda Jane Wollstonholme and I'm 46 years old.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Wivenshaw in Manchester when I was younger, but mostly throughout Manchester all my life. Some time I spent in Buxton, up in Derbyshire, and I was in residential care in St Helens for about 3 years, in the young teens.
What did you go into care for?
My father was a single parent. He's since passed away, but he had some alcohol issues, so he was a bit heavy-handed, shall we say.
Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood and life growing up?
My father was a single parent and he accumulated 7 children along the way to do it with me.
Wow.
My mum was totally a non-functioning mother for the first 3 years, and then she just bailed and left my dad by himself.
Did she have a reason for that, or?
If there was one, it was never disclosed to me, but I presume it was probably based on my dad's random violence, and then being a bit of a ladies' man wouldn't have helped.
So what happened after that? After your mum left completely?
I proceeded through the care system and but I got a good education because I went to residential school in St Helens run by nuns. So I took my exams at 13 and did really well. Took them again at 14 and got worse grades the year after. And my intention was to study for a degree in English language and become a primary school teacher, but I'd already had my first caution for prostitution, so that actually made...
How old was that?
14.
14?
Yeah, I'd had my first caution for loitering for the purpose of prostitution, and it made me have an offence of a sexual nature against me name, which didn't specify on your previous convictions what that actually entailed, but it meant that I could be anything from a child molester, to a sex worker, and with the Data Protection Act not being able to allow any in-depth questions concerning exactly what that sexual offence is, it just was all the excuse I needed to not even pursue it any further, which is a shame, because that would have been something I would have to have done.
And is that what you were doing at 14?
It was more, I was in and out of, once I left the residential care, I was still ward of the court. I had a full care order till I was 18, but I was in a children's home called Glendine in Withenshaw, and a lot of the teenage girls there were sex working, and I just tagged along. During I'd never even seen a £20 note, let alone owned one. So I had no drug issues or anything at the time. And then unfortunately, I just made some bad choices, and the first one of them was my drug of choice was heroin at a very, very early age.
Yeah. When did you first start taking that?
When I think I was 15.
Yeah. What made you first try it?
I had a partner who ended up dying in police custody in 1995. But I was trying to sort of keep his attention by providing him with whatever money he needed to supply his habit. And then I thought, well, if I'm paying for it, I'm having some, So, that's how quickly it all started and ended.
Yeah. So you were 15 when you first tried.
Yeah. The first, I didn't even smoke a cigarette.
And that was your first.
My first. And I took my first try of heroin from here to there, to where the person who's buried who gave it to me in Southern Cemetery years ago.
Wow.
behind a gravestone in Southern Cemetery.
And what happened from there? Where did life go?
I've just constantly been a Class A drug user and a sex worker until I reached the age of 27, and then I became pregnant with my first son, who ended up being adopted at 18 months old because I just didn't try hard enough. You know, I was faced with having no accommodation because my name wasn't on the tenancy, and his father had then been convicted for drug offences. So like he was incarcerated, so with his incarceration his tenancy went with him, so I had no home, so no home, no baby, no baby, no home. So I used that to dig a little bit deeper into that kind of circle, and I stayed abstinent during my pregnancy, but as soon as I'd had my child, I went straight back on drugs because I was left to my own devices and I didn't have any support system like there is now. You know, then, I had my second son, and his father died. He got cancer and died. And he's my superstar. One day we were like best mates before he was even born. And one day I'd like him to see the reinvented me, you know, like someone that he'd be proud of, not someone that he'd think, oh my God, no way is my mum on the telly saying this and feel ashamed. You know, in an ideal world, I would never have wished this for myself or for him, you know. But rather than get it wrong, I did the only other thing that I could do, and that was took the coward's way out and gave the privilege of raising him to somebody who was going to guarantee some stability for him, which is something that I wouldn't have been able to do by myself.
Yeah. So how old were you when you had your second son?
I was...
I can't. Ouch for that long.
It was in 2007.
Yeah.
So I don't know how old I was. Oops.
And have you had any more children since then? No.
I couldn't have justified not being able to be a consistent figure in my two sons that I was privileged to have even helped create, let alone introduce yet another broken beginning, you know, especially in this day and age when everything's so materialistic. You know, like your children need two parents or one consistently hard at it parent, you know, because you have to do the job of both parents. You know, they need a positive role model of both sexes to learn. Like, they're a blank page when they're born, you know. And it's not my right to get those pages written on wrong.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility, isn't it?
And it's a privilege. It's not a responsibility. It's an honour. And one day I'll get to write on those pages in the future, and I just hope that I can be forgiven for being a total arsehole.
That's the thing, though. You've not done it through choice, have you? Like, it's just...
And I had the choice to change things and didn't try hard enough. You know, and there's no other way to explain it. There's no excuses that I can make other than to say all I can do is try and change the outcome of the person that should my sons choose to come and look for me, you know, give me that opportunity to be in their lives at a later date, that they come and find somebody worth finding, you know, not this person that I am today.
Yeah.
You know.
So, can you tell me a bit more about, like, life as a working girl?
Life as a working girl is one of the most baffling decisions that that light is really hurting my head, you know. I'm sorry, I mean really, honestly, it's
Can
giving
you
me
turn the
next
light down a
level
little
headache.
bit?
Sorry, I don't mean to be think, but it's proper hurting me eye, you know.
Sorry, darling.
Oh, I didn't
sorry.
realise it was that simple.
Is that right?
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that, thank you.
It's horrible.
really hurting me.
It's really bright.
Amazing. Perfecto.
Thank you very much, thanks. Anybody that is under any delusions that it's easy money or that there is no guarantee from one end of the day, from when you wake up and you set foot on these streets, you are literally trusting a complete stranger with your life. Every time you get into a car, you can't guarantee that just because you recognise that face or he's a regular customer that he's not going to kill you this time. You know, you don't know what's happened in that person's day.
No.
You know, or have they picked up another girl and been robbed, and they've come to take it out on you. You know, you really don't know what's going through the mind. Like, the only thing about sex working that is positive is that it prevents sexual deviance from not having an outlet and picking Mrs. Smith and Jones, like, you know, at random and taking out whatever deviances they might not be able to pay for, you know, out on them, because if they weren't able to pay for it, I can only imagine like what kind of breeds of people would be left to fester in the community, you know, and that is a big concern.
That's a good point. I've never thought about it like that before.
It really does serve a purpose. I mean, although there are parlors and online that it still only caters for the ones that haven't got much to lose. The ones that pick up sex workers on the street, now they're the ones that really have got so much to lose they don't want to leave any trace whatsoever of their being in a parlour or using an online sex service. I do think that
Because the way the camera is, she's not looking at the camera.
I do think it is really important for any young women that think that it's an option, you know, and a means to an end. It is nothing but bad experiences, you know, like horrific, fucking, like scary things happen, you know, almost on a daily basis to some girls. I don't know how I've escaped some of these horrific experiences. Every single working girl I know has got one or more story that's like a near-death experience. I think it is just purely by luck that I'm not one of those girls, and it's not something that I possess in my soul and don't want to share, and I'll just pretend it. I genuinely have escaped it by nothing but pure luck. You know, but my luck will run out, as will any other girl who thinks that they're not as vulnerable as I am. You know, it's tragic. You know, you see the same girls like today that have been out here alongside me over the last 10, 15, 20 years, you know, and like, it's nothing short of heartbreaking. You know, nearly every working girl I know comes from a sexual abuse history. You know, how would you end up a working girl? If that was, I mean, I don't know how you would titrate from having, you know, the first man that you've ever trusted in your life abuse you, or, you know, significant adult, you know, and then go and offer to rent yourself out. Or I don't understand how that happens. I've never been able to work that out, and I've never had the balls to ask anyone, you know. But my heart goes out to all of those girls, and any girls with a sexual abuse history that think that this is, you know, like all their worth. They are so wrong, and there's organisations that are in place now that weren't when I was younger, and had I had access to those services back then, I would never have been here today. I really genuinely believe that. You know, like organisations such as Manchester Action for Street Health, you know, they champion the next level advocates for domestic violence, and any bad experiences that the girls have out here, that they have like a bulletin board. It's called a dodgy punters list. Seriously, and they're funded by the National Lottery, and because at the moment they're revamping this entire area, right? They're actually taking the building that MASH use as our communal hub. They're totally like wiping that building out and the building next to it, and like revamping the entire area, including where we're sat now. All around us, like, there's sprung up like small breweries and stuff. You know, like if you take a walk around from one end of the month to another, like there's something new every month. You know, like I don't know if you've been down to the Mayfield Press, up there where the red light area started off initially. It's crept all the way down here now. But we're actually being asked, do we want the red light area moving? Where to? I mean, you send it any further into the shady corners, and it's just going to be a breeding ground for God knows what. It's actually frightening to think, like, what other shady little corner is there? Like, I think in an ideal world, I think they'd like us all to go online, or or go indoors, in Parlors and stuff. But I just don't like being that organised. I don't want it to be an official line of work, although it's been my only source of income as a Class A drug user. I've used it to fund my addiction all these years. But without the ability to do that, or the choice, I don't know what would the options become then. These questions seem like an empty vessel to me, because regardless of the answer, we don't have that much pull that's gonna make any difference to a multi-million-pound ongoing venture, to change the entire look of this area, for the surrounding mile in circumference from this spot. Our word's not really going to be valid, although we are being asked, which it does go a long way to make you feel like people give a shit, which they actually do. But that's been a long time coming. We were like lucky to get free condoms 15 years ago. Now, there's absolutely nothing that these organisations and service providers won't do for us working girls now.
Do you see any way out of doing what?
This time last week I was in Wrexham, and I went to start a 28-day detox, and I'm due to go to a place called the Nelson Trust in Gloucestershire. I was due to go 28 days from the day that I went into the Wrexham detox, but after 6 days I failed, so I returned back to my old ways. But there is, without question, always the option to try again, because I'm lucky to have the funding in place, so that if I can jump back on in focus quick enough before any more damage is done, or I go too far back into my old ways, I would. If a car pulled up now and said, "Right, Amanda, come on, you're going to Gloucestershire," like that, I would go. I'd be gone. I'd say thank you very much. I'm gone. I won't get the opportunity again if I don't take it this time. I already ballsed up the detox for no other reason than it's a long story, and
And have you got any advice for anyone thinking of trying drugs or anything?
For anyone trying drugs, it's a personal choice. It's addiction that is what you need to be careful from. Drugs can't really be recreational, because addiction in its nature is down to the individual. If you have an addictive personality, whether it's alcohol, whether it's sex, whether it's drugs, everyone's addicted to something. Food, cosmetic surgery. The sky's the limit. But if anybody thinks that that drugs is going to be something where you can dip your toe in the pond without getting your feet wet. Yeah, just take a look at me. It'd be lovely to show you a picture of me when I very first got my photo taken by the police, all those years ago. You would find it absolutely eye-opening, if you could just get a set of those pictures, like over the years, like each one of them is like a snippet in time, and you can see a person deteriorating over the years, but like a slightly bounce back on occasion and then drift back again, but it really are something to see, and anyone thinking that they're not gonna fall foul in the same way, they're badly mistaken. There is no easy way out. You end up in a box. It really is that easy, unfortunately.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
You're so very welcome. Really do mean that as well.
I ran out of money.
I was going to pay you, mate. Because, do you know what? I hope that the right people get to hear what we've got to say, because I'm sure that there's some productive things that can come from.
Thank you very much for watching Amanda's story. I'm now going to talk a little bit about it. Again, please do not forget to subscribe if you have enjoyed. Thank you. So, Amanda.
Nothing.
What?
Nothing.
So, Amanda, she mainly grew up in care. So she was with her dad to start with. Her father was a single parent. She describes him as liking a bit of a drink and heavy-handed, which to me, like, she doesn't go much into her childhood, but to me sounds abusive. I mean, she doesn't say a bad word about him, really. Her mum was sort of in and out of her life up until she was 3, but her mum left when she was 3, completely left, like disappeared. She said not much was ever said about it, apart from it. She thinks it was due to the fact of her dad being violent and cheating.
Yeah.
So all in all, her dad's not winning Dad of the Year award anytime soon. all in all, I think
but she's not said nothing bad about the dad.
She's not, because she ended up in care.
We don't know the reason.
We don't, but I'm not saying social services can never be wrong.
They're always wrong.
Okay. I'm sure they do rescue some children in need. From everything she said,
nothing.
It doesn't. Nothing bad.
She ain't said nothing bad about her dad.
Right, I think we're just going to have to move on from this point because we're going to end up arguing. My point of view is he was an alcoholic, he was violent. I've got one more point. And who else did we do this with? Who else? Was it Dave's mum? That the dad was violent and she disappeared. Was it Dave with the bald head?
Yeah.
And I'll say the same thing I said there, like, obviously I'm all for the woman escaping, but how as a mother you could just leave your child in that situation?
But then again, we don't know the reason why.
No, I mean, she just disappeared. She could be dead for all we know. He could have murdered her. She might not have disappeared through choice of her own. Just saying. So she mainly grew up in care.
Yeah.
As people will probably notice watching it, Amanda is very well spoken. Like she said herself, she got a good education. She was doing really, really well in school, and she wanted to become a primary school teacher. Up until the age of 14, where she got a caution for prostitution, which meant she couldn't go into teaching because she got a sexual offence crime against her.
14 years old.
This makes me just want to like strangle the police.
Why?
Because at 14 you can't be a prostitute. You can't. She's a child. She's a victim. She shouldn't be done for prostitution. She's a victim. I just maintain, like, I am a firm believer of there is no such thing as a child prostitution. There's not. There's not. They're a victim. They're always a victim. At 14, whether she's accidentally got into that or being forced into it,
Yeah.
she's still a victim.
Yeah.
She's 14. She's a kid. She's not legally old enough to be having sex.
Yeah.
Like, it just... And that's ruined her whole life.
The whole life.
Because it's... All she wanted to do was be a primary school teacher. And it kind of sets her up then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So she wasn't using drugs when she got into sex work. She got into a kind of, I don't want to say accidentally because I don't think that's an appropriate word for it, but the other girls in care were doing it, and she hanging around with the wrong people, and so she witnessed it from there and got into it there. But she wasn't using drugs when she first started at 14. Just think, if the police that had originally cautioned her for that first time at 14 had just done something different, her whole life could have turned out different.
Could be, yeah.
Whole life. If they'd given her the help she needed rather than punishing her.
But she was in care. You don't get looked after properly in care. That's just a fact.
It's so sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So sad. So she first started taking heroin at age 15.
15.
I don't think... So she first started taking heroin at 15.
Yep.
That's terrifying.
Scary.
Like, I don't think I even knew what heroin was at 15.
Me too. Yeah.
It's... Oh, it scares me. And a bit hard.
Do you think when you're in care, you're exposed to a lot of things?
Yes. Having never been in care, I can't answer that yes confidently. But I would imagine
Yeah.
the other kind of people that are in care,
Yeah.
you would hope that they've not come from very good backgrounds. Has that been the reason they're in care? As in they genuinely needed to go into care?
Yeah.
And just in their home lives, you don't know what they've been exposed to. Like, I just think in care, you're probably exposed to a lot more than you are.
Of course, yeah.
Mm.
Because they mix everyone together.
Mhm.
So if I'm dealing with my depression,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be moody. You know, like they just put everyone together. So they don't check the background.
No.
They don't know why. It's messed up.
Mhm. I can imagine. Yeah. So she got into heroin she had a partner who died in police custody. And before this bit like hurts my heart. Like, it makes me so sad. She had a partner, and in order to keep his interest in her, she was prostituting herself to get money for drugs for him. And that's how she ended up trying them, thinking, well, I'm making the money and buying them for him anyway, like, I may as well. It hurts my heart.
She was a kid.
She was a kid. And you don't know if it was him putting pressure on her and making her feel like she had to keep his interest, or if it's her own insecurities. But either way, it's so sad. Like, you just want to sit down and tell her, like, if someone loves you, you don't have to do anything to keep their interest, like.
But if you don't have the right people around her to tell her that. Bear in mind, her mum left her when she was 3 years old, and she had to go back to care.
Yeah, and it sounds like from what she knows of her mum and dad's relationship, she's not like witnessed healthy relationships growing up. Like, she doesn't know how it should be. It just, I don't know.
I think society failed it. The government.
Just makes me so sad. Like, I just want to tell her you should never have to do anything to keep a guy's interest. Like, especially not that.
No.
Like, it's one thing cooking a meal, isn't it? But
Can you keep it?
Probably, I don't know, depends how food orientated the man is. Like, no, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing, like, feeling like you need to cook and clean. A whole other thing, prostituting yourself to buy heroin for them.
Yeah, that's totally different.
Mm-hmm. And I know it's all freedom of choice and stuff, but that to me is not okay. And that's how she ended up trying it.
And she's been hooked
Ever since she was 15. So from the age of 14 till 27, she was a sex worker. Then at 27, she got pregnant with her first son, and he got given up for adoption at 18 months old. Now this bit, like, obviously we've got to take her word for it that she's telling the truth, but she says she stayed off drugs during pregnancy and started again straight away after he was born.
Yeah.
So we've got to take her word that she was clean during pregnancy.
Yeah.
I just hope that shows people how powerful addiction is.
Yeah.
How powerful.
But I
hope this helps people, like anyone watching, if their parents were addicts, I hope it helps them in the sense that they're not questioning their worth. Like, it's nothing to do with them. Like, it was nothing to do with her son. It wasn't her son's fault. The addiction is just so much more powerful than anything.
But at the same time, you can see how your mind is even more powerful than your addiction.
Because she did give up during.
Yeah. If you can give up that time, 9 months.
But she didn't give up for herself, did she? She was giving up to keep him safe.
That's the reason you can never give up for someone else. You have to do it for yourself.
I know, when you're pregnant, you've got no choice, have you?
There's people that smoke.
Well, yeah, but it's not good for the baby.
It's not good for the baby. Of course, it's not good.
But I'm saying she didn't have a choice. Like, when she was pregnant, giving up was for him. She did give up for him, yeah. And you're right. Like, you can't give up for someone else.
You can't give up to please people. You have to do it for yourself.
It's always got to be for you, yeah. Otherwise, something happens with that person.
That's why you can't rush someone to do rehab. You can't.
They've got to want it enough.
Yeah.
So she then had a second son who was also given up for adoption. And after that, she's been very careful not to have any more children. When I was watching this on the video, just like, I thought I was going to cry, because it's just the way she words it, and she gets it so right. I feel like I'm going to cry again now. She didn't have any more children because she didn't want to give any more children any more broken beginnings. And I thought that was so... I'm going to cry.
Oh my God. Are you crying?
No.
Oh no.
I don't know, that's just... Like, despite her addiction and despite everything that she has been through, she can still see that. She can still see that although she gave her two sons the best start in life she could, and she did...
Yeah, she did.
She did try her best. She can see the fact that although she has tried her very best, she has given them a broken start.
Yeah.
Like, you can only hope that they got adopted rather than going into like the foster system and care system. Yeah. You can only hope that, can't you? And Amanda herself says that she accepts that she didn't try hard enough to change. But I wish she wouldn't beat herself up about that, because I feel she did the best with what she had.
No, she's trying to be honest with herself.
Yeah, but she did the best with what she had.
But she could have done more. That's what she's trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's why she's disappointed with herself.
Yeah. So she talks a bit about, like, she acknowledges and realises how dangerous sex work is, and you never know when you get in someone's car.
Yeah. It could be
if you're going to get back out that car alive. I don't know. I can see how it ends up being a vicious cycle of drugs and prostitution, because you need the drugs then to deal with that. I mean, my thought when I go to work is, I can't wait for the next 5 hours to be up. it's never, I might not leave this building, or like,
Yeah.
that thought never crosses my mind going to it. Imagine having to deal with that every time at work.
It's two different type of work, Sarah.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine having to deal with that stress. Not even stress every day. That thought of.
Yeah. You can't think about it if you were to do them kind of job. You can't think, you know.
And I think with everything like's been going on in the news at the moment, it just goes to show, like, you never know who you're getting in a car with.
Yeah.
You never know. Like she said, he could be a regular, and you've always got out fine, but you don't know if the last girl he picked up robbed him, and now he's out to get whoever gets in next. Like, you never know.
Mm.
You don't know. Another interesting point she made was she thinks sex work prevents sexual deviances. I had never thought about it before she said it. But when she said it, I kind of, like, I feel like she might have a point there.
Elaborate.
Well, as in, like...
Wow. I'm listening.
Like, obviously, it does not stop rape. As in, there is still a high number of rape cases in this country.
Yeah.
But even if it prevents one or two, I don't know, it's not enough. But would you count that as helping? I don't know.
No. It's helping a lot of people. With
Like,
their
it's
fetish.
letting men get a release
Yeah.
that they might, if not, take out on someone else.
But what's saying is they still have brothels around. Guys can still do that.
Yeah. I don't know, it's difficult. Like, I kind of thought she had a point, but then at the same time, I don't know. I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say. At the same time, these girls are still vulnerable. Like, a lot of them are mentally vulnerable. Like, they're battling addiction. Like, they're not in a good headspace.
Yeah.
Like, they're not there for people to take out their sexual deviances on. As in, the girl isn't doing it because she wants to. Like, if the guy would just hand her 20 quid for nothing, she would rather take that than
Of course.
the £20 for sex. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's almost like paid rape, isn't it?
There's a lot of weirdos out there. Well, I wouldn't call them weirdos. They.
I would.
Everyone got their fetish, you know. So I know you guys just think about guys that pay for sex.
I'm not going to get over it. I'm not. If you can find someone that pays for sex that will talk to me, I will sit down and hear their point of view, but I think it would take a lot for me to change
But
my
what
viewpoint.
don't you understand?
It's creepy. Okay, me as a girl,
Yeah.
I would not want to have sex with someone that didn't want to have sex with me.
Yeah.
And those girls don't want it. They're doing it because you're paying.
No,
like,
you
they
said-
don't want it.
You said you yourself.
Yeah.
Well, of the other girls, they're not saying that. That's the difference.
I can guarantee we could go out on the street now,
Yeah.
and any girl I asked would be like, why would I want sex with someone that doesn't want sex with me? Where's the fun? Like, I don't know. Like, obviously...
But it's a service. You don't go around everyone on the street.
But these girls are doing it because they're desperate. It's not a
that's
service
what,
like
that's what you
opening
call
a
it.
shop.
That's what you call the service. They got something to provide. And
But they
this
don't
guy-
want to provide it willingly. That's the bit I don't get.
They're willingly providing it.
Oh, they're not.
Of
Come
course
on.
they are.
Are you kidding me?
No one's
They're not-
forcing it. No one's
Their
forcing it.
addiction's forcing them to. If
Yeah.
they had another way to
Oh.
get the money...
They won't.
Yeah.
But the addiction, unfortunately, the addiction come with it.
Yeah, so
So,
to me, that makes
yeah.
them not willing. They're not doing it because they enjoy the sex or they enjoy the job. It literally
So,
is a job to them.
How would you say that about someone who's addicted to sex?
I don't know, go get yourself castrated. Take away the hormones. I don't know, it saves the world
You
problem.
see, you're so. Who told you it could be a girl who's addicted to sex?
Go get yourself spayed, or whatever they call the female
Why did you just jump
hysterectomy.
into conclusion it was a guy?
Because I have only ever seen that as an excuse guys use.
Why?
I'm a sex addict.
Why did it just jump straight?
I've never seen a girl be like, it's always, what was that Katie Price's husband that tried to use it as an excuse for cheating, Kieran, whatever his name is.
No, there's real people out there really addicted to sex. I'm not a female who's addicted to sex.
Well, work through the addiction. You don't tell
To
someone.
sleep-
You
to
don't tell.
sleep- to work through the addiction.
I was speaking. I'm going to do a jazz. I was speaking and you're talking over me. If you have a heroin addiction, you don't go and tell that person, just carry on taking as much heroin as you want for the rest of your life. No, go to rehab, work through the issues. Sex addict, go to rehab, work through the issues that's leading you to be addicted to sex.
If you're ready to change, but if you're not ready, what are you gonna do?
Oh no, I'm still not promoting it.
I'm not. No one's promoting, but this is reality. It's not about promotion. No one's promoting.
I could
nothing.
feel like I could literally sit here for an hour and argue this point with you.
I'm not even arguing. I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from.
But you're not even trying to
I
understand.
am.
You're not, because you're not agreeing with me, and that frustrates me. I literally, as far as I'm concerned, you don't understand because you're not agreeing with me. And
I'm trying to.
you're not
How?
trying. Because I just... Okay, maybe it's me that's not trying. I genuinely can't understand your point of view. I can't.
Okay.
You can...
Girls who working as prostitute, they're addicted to drugs,
Yeah.
and the only way for them to fund for the habit, they have to provide a service
Yeah.
who's to sell the body to get money.
Can you stop saying it like it's a service though? Because it's
But-
not. It's so much more intimate than that. It's not selling a newspaper on the street.
But this is the reality.
You're
That's what-
letting guys have sex
this is,
with you.
But this is the reality. I'm not putting nothing out there. I'm not saying what is not what. This is This is reality. We've been out. We've seen them. I'm not making this up.
I know you're not making it up. We don't refer to it as a service. Like, it's so much more than that.
It's a business. Why don't you understand?
Because I don't understand. I understand it from the girl's point of view why they do it. I do not understand the guys that pay for it.
Because
I'm not going to change my viewpoint on the fact I think they're creepy.
that's your opinion.
It is.
I don't want you to change it. Keep it.
I will.
That's your opinion.
I think the majority of them are creepy, sick individuals.
That's your opinion.
How many stories have we heard from like Joanne, Tanya, everyone about all the things the guys do to them, like the black eyes, the being slashed with knives, and the majority of those guys probably go home to their wives and kids. That to me makes me sick. I'm never getting married. Nope. It makes me sick. Like, it makes me sick to the bottom of my stomach that you could be living with someone and you have no idea what they're capable of.
No one know what. You just have a problem with guys that pay for sex.
Yeah, I do.
But it's a service.
I don't care. It doesn't make it right.
It's a service. That
Dog
the girls are
fighting's
really,
a service. I'm never going to agree with that.
The girls are really like no one's forcing them. Their
Addiction is forcing them.
The addiction forcing them. Of course, I agree with you.
They're not doing it through the love of the job. They're not doing it because they love
They don't
it.
love the job.
No.
But that's what I'm saying. It's a service that they got. They're providing it.
I just don't understand what's going through the guy's head when he pays for the sex. He has the sex with the girl, and he must know deep inside that all the girl's thinking is, I just want this money and this to be over with. She's not enjoying it. She doesn't want it.
Sarah, you're getting so frustrated.
I am, because you're not agreeing with me. So let's just move on from this, because, yeah. And I think I've got one more point that probably feeds into this. Amanda said nearly every working girl that she knows comes from having a history of sexual abuse. That to me like sums up how vulnerable these girls are. They don't know what a healthy relationship is. They don't know what sex is meant to be like. All they see it as is...
But they are vulnerable. They are. I'm not disagreeing with that. I agree with they are vulnerable. But you can't ignore the fact
If
that
you say service or business, I'm going to smack you. Just shut up now.
They're providing, yeah. They're providing the body, yeah. They're providing the body for cash.
That's all girls are, a commodity.
Oh, here we go. We're not going there. We're not better.
No, you're right. We're just here for men's pleasure.
Here we go. Here we go.
Right, let's move on because
Here we go.
we're going to end up hating each other. I don't want to hate you.
You're doing already.
I don't hate you already.
Okay.
Really. So Amanda is still so hopeful about changing. She wants to change. She wants to reinvent herself.
Yeah.
So she recently went on a detox. She
Yeah.
did fail after 6 days, but she always has the option to start again, and she wants to start again. Like, she wants to be clean. She wants out of this life. Like, she wants to get to know her children.
There's nothing wrong, but keep trying.
No.
If you keep trying, eventually.
Every time you fall down, get back up. Try again.
Keep trying, keep pushing.
Mhm.
So, have to respect for that first step.
100%.
You know.
That first step is the hardest.
That's the
Mhm.
6 day. That's a lot. That's a lot for someone that is smoking for that many years.
Yeah. It is. And the last little thing I've got is, and I thought this was really good advice, is Amanda's advice is drugs can't be recreational. Which I think is what, I think a lot of people think that when they, especially when they're getting into sort of like class A drugs, they think they can control the drug.
Yeah, no.
And they can't. It's never
They
gonna
can't.
work like that. You can never be a recreational heroin user.
Crack cocaine.
No.
But I hope
I really hope Amanda.
she keep trying.
I really hope she gets the life that she wants.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again soon. Please do not forget to subscribe if you have enjoyed. Thank you.